what it do, sports world, and welcome to the Real Untouchable podcast with me, Ray Diggs. I got a great segment for y'all, man. I want to talk about Sebastian Fundora versus Errol Spence Jr. for the WBC Super Welterweight Title that's been agreed to, and they will fight as in a location. They're saying it's going to be in Dallas, at the AT&T Stadium. That's the home of the Dallas Cowboys. That's Errol Spence's hometown, for October. Okay, I'm going to give you all my point of views on what this fight and why I think that Sebastian Fundora might have missed the biggest fight of his career. But listen, before I get started, man, make sure y'all hit the like button, the subscribe button, and also the share button. And make sure y'all give me your feedback on what you all think about this segment. But hey, let's go ahead and jump into this thing. The WBC Super Welterweight Champion, Sebastian Fundora, has pretty much agreed to fight Errol Spence Jr. For the WBC Super Welterweight title in October at AT&T Stadium in Dallas. Okay, Fundora will be coming in 21-1-1, 13 knockouts. He won the belt, the WBO belt, WBC belt, when he fought Tim Tszyu in March. Okay, and then we got Errol Spence Jr. coming in at 28-1, 22 knockouts. He hadn't fought since pretty much getting destroyed by Terrence Bud Crawford in July of 2023. So he's been off for an entire year. All right. Now, and also we got to talk about Errol Spence is gonna come into this fight with a new trainer. Derrick James is no longer his trainer, so he will be coming in with a whole new training. So Fundora, he pretty much is out until like September because of medical reasons. But Errol Spence, do he deserve this fight? He does not. I think Errol Spence deserves a tune-up fight. Errol Spence claimed he don't do tune-ups, but I think that he need a tune-up. But when you're fighting somebody like Fundora, he looks at Fundora as being not the type of fighter like, okay, I don't need a tune-up for him. Sebastian Fundora, look at me when I'm talking. This right here is for Fundora and his team. That means his trainer and his promoter. You guys are probably the weakest team in boxing. You guys are the most scariest team in all of boxing. You all remind me of when what's his name? Keith Thurman pretty much stayed away from Errol Spence Jr. How they blocked him out. That's exactly how Fundora looking. You have one chance to step into the ring with an undisputed champion. And we don't know, maybe you give Terrence Crawford all he can handle. Maybe you lose to Terrence Crawford. Maybe you lose a unanimous decision. Do you know what that does to your career? Losing to Errol Spence or losing to Terrence Crawford? If you lose a unanimous decision to Terrence Crawford, that tells you that Fundora is really a good fighter. Because we seen what he did to Errol Spence. Thrashed him, destroyed him, made him quit, beat the brakes off of him. And if you go in there and you just survive 12 rounds, who knows what's going to happen? Maybe you can get a good punch in on Crawford. Maybe you shake him up. Maybe you make it uncomfortable for him with your long reach. You losing to Terrence Crawford is totally different than losing to Errol Spence Jr. Because if you lose to Errol Spence Jr., nobody want to hear nothing else out of you again. Like, just to be real with you. And then for his team to say that, oh, it's about money. Listen, it is about money. But I think that you make the same amount of money for both fights. That's just my opinion. I think he would have made the same amount of money. Didn't matter who he fights. But you wanted to take an easier route. You knew that fighting Errol Spence is an easier route. Not saying that Errol Spence is an easier fight. Not saying that this right here is going to be a walkover. Even though I think this right here is a dangerous fight for him, for Fundora. But he knew that fighting against Errol Spence is a little easier than stepping in there with Bud Crawford. And y'all can just call me whatever you want to call me. But promise you, that is what this is. This right here was strictly taking the easier route. for Terrence Crawford, for Fundora and his team, his promoter and his trainer. It was about taking the easier route. Because when you think about it, I'm taking Terrence Crawford. Because I think that fighting against Terrence Crawford is not only just a mega fight, it's a big fight for me, but this is a legacy fight. That's like Munguia. Munguia went in there and he fought against Canelo. He lasted 12 rounds against Canelo Alvarez. Guess what? He's going to be able to get whatever fight he really wants. Let's be honest. He's going to be able to get whatever fight he wants. Same thing with Caleb Plant. When Caleb Plant went in there and fought Canelo, what was his next fight? Really was David Benavidez. He got whatever fight you want. When you go in there and you fight against the best, your career is made. You know what I'm saying? Why do you think Adrian Broner got the Pacquiao fight? Adrian Broner got the Pacquiao fight, and he probably could have got another good fight after that if he didn't act the way he acted. You get those fights by fighting the best. You may lose, but you fought the best. When Canelo fought against Floyd Mayweather, he lost, but what did it do for him? It made his career. It turned him into Canelo. And that's the same thing when it comes to Fundora. He missed out on the golden opportunity of facing two-time undisputed champion Terrence Bud Crawford because his team got into his ear and tried to tell him that fighting Errol Spence is a bigger money fight. When in reality, it's about legacy. You're going to make about the same amount. You might make $3 million, $4 million for fighting Errol. The same amount that you're going to get if you face against Terrence Bud Crawford. And what's on the line? You got one belt that's going to be on the line. That's the WBC belt. Because the WBO belt and the IBF belt is probably going to be on the line in the Terrence Crawford fight. And if I'm Terrence Crawford, right, I pretty much already know that you're probably going to end up losing this fight. So now I got to get prepared to put these paws on Errol Spence Jr. again. And I think, honestly, if I'm Errol Spence, if I'm Terrence Crawford, I make sure that I end him this second fight. Not saying kill him, because we don't condone no violence. But I want to make sure that I end him this second fight. Because Errol Spence Jr. really, and I'm gonna tell y'all the reason Errol Spence Jr. got this fight is because of PBC, the cancer of boxing. Everybody know that. That's the cancer of boxing. PBC is definitely the cancer of boxing. It's the reason why nobody wants to be under PBC anymore. All their fighters are leaving. They're going somewhere else. Because it's a cancer. They give fights to their stablemates. Because why? Because they know they're losing all of them. They need to keep Errol Spence happy. They know that they can't lose Errol Spence. They need him. So that's why they got to try to get him all the fights that he wants, all the title fights that he wants. Nobody, is he deserve it? Do he deserve it or not? Do he deserve this title fight? No, he don't. Let's be honest. How do you get stopped in your last fight and then you come back to go to the next weight class and get another title shot? And that's right there why nobody wants to sign with PBC. Why you think that? But see, PBC is messing up again. Because I'm going to be honest with you. If I'm Errol Spence, if I'm Terrence Crawford, right, and I win those two belts, and we have to end up meeting up against each other for undisputed at 154, I'm going to be real with you. I want 70% of the pay. If I'm Terrence Crawford, I want 70% of the pay. If me and him meets in a rematch. Let's be real. Because the fight is not going to do too good. Let's just be real. It's not going to do good. The reason why it's not going to do good is because nobody really wants to see a rematch of these two. They just don't. So when I look at this fight, if they ever met, I think Terrence Bud Crawford stops him again. But when this comes down to Fundora, I think Terrence Crawford is going to dominate his August the 3rd opponent. I think that this fight right here, Fundora versus Spence, I think Spence do win. I think it may be a late round stoppage, maybe 10th, 11th round stoppage. I just don't know if Errol Spence want to step into the ring with Terrence Crawford again, being what happened in the first fight. I just don't know. And also, I want to talk about, as y'all know, Tyson Fury pretty much he pretty much activated his rematch clause with Usyk. So that fight right there will be either later on this year or the beginning of next year. These two will step into the ring for another for the rematch. Okay. And I see a lot of people on social media saying that they don't think that Tyson Fury can win another fight. But what I will say is this: Tyson Fury could definitely win a rematch. I said this right here when I did a show earlier this year. I said that it would be 3 fights. It would be 3 fights of these 2 fighters. They will fight 3 times. I said it and I mean it. It's just gonna be just like Deontay Wilder. And depending on how the 3rd fight goes, I think Tyson Fury wins the rematch. I think they're gonna come back for a 3rd fight later on next year, like the end of next year. Okay. And depending on how close that fight is, they might have to go to a 4th fight. This right here is a rivalry. This is a brewing rivalry between 2 of the best heavyweights in the world. And honestly, these 2 right here, depending on how these next 3 fights go, these 2 right here might never have to fight ever again. Like, let's be honest. These dudes right here, because Usyk is probably going to get the biggest percentage of the next fight because he won the first fight. Then I think if Tyson Fury wins the rematch, I would ask for a 50-50 split because it's going to be a massive fight. It's going to be a massive fight. Honestly, I can see them honestly getting that fight away from Saudi. If they end up fighting the 2nd time, it's going to be in Saudi. If they fight a 3rd time, I can honestly see them taking that fight away from Saudi and bringing it back to Vegas. That's what I can see, because I think that's going to be a massive fight. It's going to be a 50-50 split. If Tyson Fury comes out there and win the rematch and they go for a 3rd fight, I think that right there is probably going to be one of the biggest fights in history. Okay. And I think that's what's going to happen. But like I said, Tyson Fury has pretty much activated his rematch clause. So they will be fighting for a 2nd time, meaning that they will get it on again later on this year or the beginning of next year. They will fight in a rematch. But like I said before at the beginning, Sebastian Fundora will defend his WBC Super Welterweight title in Dallas, Texas in October. A date is to be determined, but he will be defending his WBC Super Welterweight title against Errol Spence Jr. And this right here will be Errol Spence's first fight at 154 pounds. And what's next for Terrence Bud Crawford after he go up against after his match in August? You know, what would be next for him? Okay, but we'll talk about this later on in the week. Hey, thank y'all again for listening to another great segment of the Real Untouchable Podcast with me, Ray Diggs. Until next time, y'all have a great weekend. Make sure y'all be blessed. It is Memorial Day. Happy Memorial Day to everybody that's lost a loved one. All of the amazing troops that lost their lives. Happy Memorial Day to them, man. Just know we're thinking about you all. Thank you all for making the ultimate sacrifice. And you all are not forgotten. This is the weekend where we remember you all. So make sure y'all give praise and thanks to the ones that paid the ultimate price. Okay, because guess what? A lot of them have family, kids, they got everything, man. So y'all ain't always in our heart. Until next time, man, y'all, thank you for listening to another great segment of the Real Untouchable Podcast. Make sure y'all tune in for the next one. I will be talking about Caitlin Clark. So make sure y'all tune in for that one. Peace.